Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Domingue County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 50. This is the Friday, April 30th, 2021 edition of Library Connections. Kicking things off with the top 5 fiction bestsellers of the week from the New York Times. At number 1, A Gambling Man by David Baldacci. Aloysius Archer, a World War II veteran, seeks to apprentice with Willie Dash, a private eye in a corrupt California town. At number 2, Ocean Prey by John Sanford, the 31st book in the Prey series. When federal officers are killed, Lucas Davenport and Virgil Flowers team up to investigate matters. At number 3, The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. The poem read on President Joe Biden's Inauguration Day by the youngest poet to write and perform an inaugural poem. At number 4, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. As dust storms roll during the Great Depression, Elsa must choose between saving the family and farm or heading west. And at number 5, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In a quiet town on the North Carolina coast in 1969, a young woman who survived alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect. And continuing on with the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers of the week, at number 1, Out of Many, One by George W. Bush. 43 portraits by the former president of men and women who have immigrated to the United States. At number 2, Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zahner. The daughter of a Korean mother, a Jewish American father, and leader of the indie rock project Japanese Breakfast, describes creating her own identity after losing her mother to cancer. At number 3, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. At number 4, On the House by John Boehner. The former Speaker of the House reflects on his time in Washington, key political figures, and the current state of the Republican Party. And at number 5, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. The Academy Award-winning actor shares snippets from the diaries he kept over the last 35 years. Our first recommended read for this week is the new Anne Hillerman mystery, Stargazer. Murder, deception, Navajo tradition, and the stars collide in this enthralling entry in New York Times best-selling author Anne Hillerman's Leaphorn, Chi, and Manuelito series, set amid the beautiful landscape of the American Southwest. What begins as a typical day for Officer Bernadette Manuelito, serving a bench warrant, dealing with a herd of cattle obstructing traffic, and stumbling across a crime scene, takes an unexpected twist when she's called to help find an old friend. Years ago, Bernie and Maya were roommates, but time and Maya's struggles with addiction drove them apart. Now Maya's brother asks Bernie to find out what happened to his sister. Tracing Maya's whereabouts, Bernie learns that her old friend had confessed to the murder of her estranged husband, a prominent astronomer. But the details don't align. Suspicious, Bernie takes a closer look at the case, only to find that nothing is as it seems. Uncovering new information about the astronomer's work leads Bernie to a remote spot on the Navajo Nation and to a calculating killer. The investigation causes an unexpected rift with her husband and new acting boss, Jim Chi, who's sure Bernie's headed for trouble. While she's caught between present and past, Chi is at a crossroads of his own. Burdened with new responsibilities he didn't ask for and doesn't want, he must decide what the future holds for him and act accordingly. Can their mentor Joe Leaphorn, a man also looking at the past for answers to the future, provide the guidance both Bernie and Chi need? And will the Navajo heroes that stood the starry sky help them find justice and the truth they seek? We'll all have to read the book or listen to the audio to find out. And on a reader's note, this is the 6th book in Anne Hillerman's Leaphorn, Chi, and Manuelito series, based on the 18-book series that precedes it, which was written by her father, Tony Hillerman. If you'd like to start with the first book in Anne's continuation series, check out the title Spider Woman's Daughter from 2013. And if you'd like to go way back and start at the very beginning of Tony's original Leaphorn and Chi series, check out the book The Blessing Way, which was first published in 1970. Our second recommended read for this week is the new novel Whereabouts by Jhumpa Lahiri. The latest from Pulitzer Prize winner Lahiri is a meditative and aching snapshot of a life in suspension. The unnamed narrator, a single middle-aged woman, lives a quiet life in an unnamed Italian city, ambling between cafes and storefronts, dinner parties with friends, and a leisurely career as a writer and teacher. The tranquil surface of her life belays a deeper unrest, a frayed, distant relationship with her widowed mother, romantic longings projected onto unavailable friends, and constant second-guessing of the path her life has taken. The novel is told in short vignettes, introducing a new scene and characters whose relationships are fertile ground for Lahiri's impressive powers of observation. In a museum, for instance, sunlight refracted through the glass roof is described in this way. It brightens and darkens the room in turns. It's a panorama that makes me think of the sea, of swimming in a clear blue patch underwater. Throughout, Lahiri's poetic flourishes and spare conversational prose are on full display. This beautifully written portrait of a life in passage captures the hopes, frustrations, and longings of solitude and remembrance, and that is the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. Our first audiobook recommendation for this week is the novel Northern Spy, written by Flynn Barry and read by Catherine Lee McEwen. A producer at the BBC and mother to a new baby, Tessa is at work in Belfast one day when the news of another raid comes on the air. The IRA may have gone underground in the last 2 decades since the Good Friday Agreement, but they never really went away, and lately, bomb threats, security checkpoints, and helicopters floating ominously over the city have become features of everyday life. As the news reporter requests the public's help in locating those responsible for the robbery, security footage reveals Tessa's sister, Marion, pulling a black ski mask over her face. The police believe Marion has joined the IRA, but Tessa is convinced she must have been abducted or coerced. The sisters have always opposed the violence enacted in the name of uniting Ireland. And besides, Marion is vacationing on the North Coast. Tessa just spoke to her yesterday. When the truth about Marion comes to light, Tessa is faced with impossible choices that will test the limits of her ideals, the bonds of her family, her notions of right and wrong, and her identity as a sister and a mother. Walking an increasingly perilous road, she wants nothing more than to protect the one person she loves more fiercely than her sister, her infant son Finn. Riveting, atmospheric, and exquisitely written, Northern Spy is at once a heart-pounding story of the contemporary IRA and a moving portrait of sister and motherhood and of life in a deeply divided society. And that's the publisher overview, simply because I couldn't find a review that was short enough for this videocast. There were a number of reviews about this title, and they're very good reviews, but they were just plain too long. Our second audiobook recommendation of the week is the new David Baldacci mystery, A Gambling Man. The audio is read by Edoardo Ballerini and Brittany Presley. The 1950s are on the horizon, and Archer is in dire need of a fresh start after a nearly fatal detour in Polka City. So Archer hops on a bus and begins the long journey out west to California, where rumor has it there is money to be made if you're hardworking, lucky, criminal, or all three. Along the way, Archer stops in Reno, where a stroke of fortune delivers him a wad of cash and an eye-popping blood-red 1939 convertible, plus a companion for the final leg of his journey, an aspiring actress named Liberty Callahan, who is planning to try her luck in Hollywood. But when the two arrive in Baytown, California, Archer quickly discovers that the hordes of people who flock there, seeking fame and fortune, landed in a false paradise that instead caters to their worst addictions and fears. Archer's first stop is a PI office where he is hoping to apprentice with a legendary private eye and former FBI agent named Willie Dash. He lands the job and immediately finds himself in the thick of a potential scandal. A blackmail case involving a wealthy, well-connected politician running for mayor that soon spins into something even more sinister. As bodies begin falling, Archer and Dash must infiltrate the world of brothels, gambling dens, drug operations, and long hidden secrets, descending into the rotten bones of a corrupt town that is selling itself as the promised land, but might actually be the road to perdition and Archer's final resting place. So if you want some excitement, check out this novel. And on a reader's note, this is the second book in the Archer series. If you'd like to start with the first book, that novel is titled One Good Deed. Our first streaming recommendation for this week is a classic. It's the 1959 comedy Some Like It Hot, available now through Amazon Prime Video. Two jazz musicians, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, disguise themselves in drag to escape some gangsters. But, and you knew there was going to be a but one of them falls for a seductive singer, Marilyn Monroe, in one of her best performances, while the other becomes the object of a millionaire's desire. Uproariously funny and tight as a drum, Some Like It Hot works through every complication of its farcical setup, landing not only on a picture-perfect conclusion, but also on one of the best closing lines in all of cinema. And that overview is from the New York Times. Our second streaming recommendation for this week is the new TV series Yoski, available through Netflix. Yoski, set in the 16th century and very loosely based on the historical records of an African-born samurai, is the latest animated project from the writer-producer Lasan Thomas, who has previously worked on the likes of The Boondocks, Black Dynamite, and Cannon Busters. Lakeith Stanfield voices the title character, a masterless swordsman who reluctantly gives up a life of drinking and brooding to escort a sickly, mystically powered little girl on a long journey. With its sinewy Flying Lotus score and its science fiction elements, the six-part Yoski is a unique kind of martial arts anime, as much a low-key character study as it is a violent and stylish action adventure. That overview is from the New York Times, and I feel like I should note here, if you're of somewhere near my vintage, I'm in my 50s, you may associate animated works with kids' cartoons, like, say, Scooby-Doo. But this one really is for adults, and I bet young adults would enjoy it too, but don't be turned away because it's animated. Check it out. And finally, our Hoopla recommendation of the week is the comedy Imagine That was originally released in 2009 and stars the great Eddie Murphy. What if your daughter's imagination was the secret to your success? When a businessman finds his financial kingdom slipping, he turns to his daughter and her fantasy world for help. And that overview, brief though it is, and the fact that Eddie Murphy stars, tells you all you need to know about this comedy. If you're in the mood to laugh, check out Imagine That. And just a little important news to note, new library hours start Monday, May 3rd. Starting on May 3rd, the library will be open 55 hours a week, and we will have hours that are much easier to remember and also much more convenient. The library will be open 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. If you have questions about this weekly videocast, let me know. Send an email to me at reimerl@stls.org, and I'll get back to you. That's reimerl@stls.org. And as I mentioned, library hours going forward from Monday, May 3rd are 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. We will continue to be closed on Sundays. Here we see the library's website found at ssclibrary.org. You can find a whole host of information on the library's website. You can access our calendar of events. You can access the web version of our different catalogs, StarCat, Hoopla, the digital catalog, all kinds of neat stuff. StarCat and its companion app, BookMine. StarCat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System, which encompasses all the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can either access StarCat online at starcat.stls.org or download the companion app BookMine to your mobile device. And through StarCat, you can do a whole host of neat things. You can place holds for materials, renew what you've got checked out, turn on your checkout history, which is very convenient if you're reading a series, because once you turn that on, and you do have to turn it on because it's a privacy thing, but when you turn on your checkout history, it will remember in the catalog, when you go into your account, it will remember all the titles of all the books you've read. So if you're reading a series and you can't remember if you've read the 13th or 14th book in the series, it will show you if you've checked them out. And that's StarCat in a nutshell. The digital catalog, with its companion apps Libby and Overdrive. The digital catalog features eBooks, downloadable audiobooks, digital magazines, and a handful of streaming videos. The digital catalog can be found online at stls.overdrive.com, or you can download the Libby or Overdrive app to your mobile device. Which app you download depends on how new your device is, and in one case what kind. The Libby app is for newer devices. The Overdrive app is for older devices and all Kindle tablets. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Steuben County Library cardholders, with a maximum of 6 checkouts per month. You can find the Hoopla catalog online at hoopladigital.com or download the Hoopla app to your mobile device, media streaming player, or smart TV. Communicating with the library. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic, or at any time really, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. The library's telephone number is area code 607-936-3713. Again, that's area code 607-936-3713. You can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs. We have 5 of them. They all feature great information in different categories. We have the Book Club for Adults blog, found at ssclbook.club. And as you might have guessed, that features information about the monthly book club for adults, which is right now meeting via Zoom. We have a local history blog found at corningnyhistory.com, and Creation Stationery, the companion blog to our makerspace, found at creationstationery.com. Continuing on with our blogs, we have Story Musings, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, and it's found at storymusings.blogspot.com. And finally, we have Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog found at sscltech.com. And yes, occasionally I do offer some helpful tech how-to tips as I do host the Tech and Book Talk blog. And briefly, here are references of the week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections. Have a great day.